by Essence, where we discuss interesting topics every day. So today we're going to talk further about the Austrian elections, which are going to be held on the 4th of December. So previously we talked about, we mentioned a lot about the Austrian election, but we might have a look at this article which was published in the Financial Times, and the article is quite interesting and it's quite detailed, so I suggest we read it through and see what it says. So first, the title is Austrian presidential poll takes on far-reaching applications. Knife-edge vote could elect first right head of state since Second World War. So that's interesting. And here right away we have a photo of the two candidates. So on the left we have the candidate of the Green Party, Mr. van der Bellen, and the candidate of the far right party, Norbert Hofer. And Norbert Hofer is kind of taking a criticizing stance or a commandeering stance, maybe even threatening to the other candidate. And it's quite interesting to look at this photo. So, although Austria is one of the most politically stable countries, the votes on Sunday for a new president in an election which could have far-reaching applications for the country's politics. The votes are a rerun of the previous poll in May, when Alexander van der Bellen, which is a representative of the Green Party, narrowly defeated Hofer by just 30,000 votes. However, the pollsters believe that this weekend's contest is too close to predict. So another question is, why does Austria presidential elections matter to the world? Well, the vote is a test of support of European right-wing nationalism in the wake of Donald Trump's elections as US president. So if he wins, Mr. Hofer would be the first far-right head of state in Western Europe since the Second World War. A strong vote could foreshadow the Freedom Party becoming the largest grouping after parliamentary elections due by September 2018 at the latest, giving it a lead role in the new Austrian government. As some of you might know, the Freedom Party was formed by the Nazis in the 1950s and has long alarmed European mainstream politicians because of its whitewashing of the country's Nazi history and association with anti-Semitism. Austria was ostracized in 2000 when the Freedom Party joined a government coalition. As Europe's immigration crisis unfolded last year, it evolved as a populist movement with a clear anti-Islamist leanings. The presidential election has already caused significant political upset. In a first-round vote in April, the candidates of the center-left Social Democrats and the center-right People's Party, Austria's two mainstream parties actually, were knocked out. But how powerful is the Austrian president anyway? And we have a nice photo of Norbert Hofer greeting his audience. Well, some argue the significance of the election is limited because the Austrian president, by convention, has largely a ceremonial role. Political power in Austria lies with the government led by the Chancellor, currently Christian Kern, a Social Democrat and the former head of the country's railways who took office in May. But the powers of the president are potentially considerable. They include, for example, appointing and dismissing ministers and calling parliamentary elections. During the lengthy campaign, both candidates have suggested they would use the president's powers proactively. Mr. van der Bellen would seek to stop a Freedom Party candidate becoming a chancellor, while Mr. Hofer has indicated would he sack the government if it did not take a sufficiently hard line on immigration. So again, we see that the reason or the cause of the this populist movement, which is embodied actually in the Freedom Party nowadays, is are false immigration policies or ineffective immigration policies. So there would be dangers in breaking with conventions. The Freedom Party is seeking party leader Heinz Christian Strache to become chancellor after the national elections. So Mr. Hofer would be under pressure to demonstrate his party can exercise power responsibly. Yet politics in Western industrialized economies is in upheaval. The election of Marine Le Pen as French president or the winning of power by Italy's populist Five-Star Movement, both unlikely but not impossible in 2017, would create an entirely new political situation, warned Stefan Gerlach, chief economist at BSI Bank in Switzerland and a former deputy Irish central bank governor, in a letter to the Financial Times. So this is actually pretty serious stuff. So we have here another interesting photo of van der Bellen looking in amazement probably, or something similar, at Norbert Hofer. Why has it taken so long to elect a president? Well, hitches in the elections process have damaged Austria's reputation for reliability. The second round runoff between Mr. Hofer and Mr. van der Bellen was held originally in May, which Mr. van der Bellen won by just 31,000 votes, but the country's constitutional court declared that contest invalid after irregularities were found in postal votes. The election was rescheduled for October, and then, to the further embarrassment of the Austrian officials, in September postal ballot papers for the rerun contest were found to have faults in the glue used to seal them. So the elections had to be shelved until the 4th of December, which is in 4 or 5 days. Why have the Freedom Party's opponents not mobilized a Stop Hofer campaign? If Ms. Le Pen makes the second round runoff in next year's French presidential election, opponents are likely to rally around her challenger. Mr. van der Bellen has failed to build a similar coalition. One reason is the reluctance of many conservative Austrian voters to back a Green politician. But the Freedom Party also attracts broad support and is seen increasingly as part of mainstream Austrian politics. The party is in government in 2 of Austria's 9 provinces, forming coalitions with both the Social Democrats and People's Party. The strength of the Freedom Party support is testament to the weaknesses of the 2 main parties, which currently operate as a grand coalition in the federal government. Austria's economy is underperforming European rivals and political disaffection has risen. Is this vote on Austrian membership in the EU? Well, not really. After the UK Brexit vote in June, Mr. Hofer hinted the Freedom Party might call a referendum on Austria membership, but opinion polls showed his remarks upset voters and he quickly backtracked on any suggestions his party could take the country out of the EU. Given the country's reliance on exports and tourism, Austrians are wary of upsetting economic links with near neighbors. Nevertheless, Mr. van der Bellen's focus on building friendly links with Germany contrasts with the criticisms Mr. Hofer has made of Angela Merkel, the German Chancellor, and the support the Freedom Party candidate has indicated for Russia and the conservative political forces in Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. So finally, who will win on Sunday? Well, with no precedent for such a tightly fought contest, opinion pollsters refuse to make predictions. So I would probably do the same in their place. And while Austria's economic challenges have not lessened since May, the elections of Mr. Trump in the US and the UK Brexit vote could have swayed some voters, but in which direction is unclear. If the vote is close, the outcome might not be clear until Monday or even Tuesday. So that was all for today from Essence, and I hope you enjoyed this article. If you would like some new videos or some new discussions, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in one of the next videos. Bye bye, have a nice day.